Hey guys, I'm back here again. Got another quick video here for you guys today. We had a older gentleman here bringing us his machine. If you notice, this machine is a relatively I won't call it familiar machine, because we had this job over here probably about I think back in early I think it was early June, I believe. Customer wanted new wheels put on the machine. I think he also needed the tune-up on a tune-up done. New carb, the fuel tank need to be cleaned out, new intake gaskets, and we did do a total tune-up on the machine, new carb, intake gaskets, and also two new back wheels, because the old back wheels are getting kind of bald on there for that, because the guy has never changed them either for that. He called us up here a couple days ago, and he was complaining the machine was running perfectly fine. You know, for the past I think it's like 3 months, so June, July, August, and early September now. So it's about 3.5 months since we gave the machine back to him. And he said he put the machine away a couple days ago after he got done cutting grass for like 15-20 minutes. The machine ran fine, and he pulled it out. I guess he pulled out of his garage or shed here today or something like that. And he was complaining the machine will not start, and he wanted to take a look at it because he thought it might be some kind of warranty problem on our end. But everything looks okay on the carb. The oil level's fine. The blades look okay. There wasn't anything out of place in there for that, so everything checked out for what we actually did on the machine. There wasn't any kind of shop fault or shop liability issues on our end. So we proceeded to check it out over here. He had a no start situation. Sorry about that. So we checked that out. So we obviously checked the spark plug on here. Spark plug was okay. He put a new plug in there. I think his family member or something like that went down to Napa or something, purchased a new plug. So the spark turns out to be okay. Ignition coil's fine. We had to take the bolt out over here because the stupid cover on here. They have these called shaft bolt things on her. They're situated, and sometimes they get stuck and bound up on her for that because they don't want to break loose on the actual top cover right here for that. So we had to take the top one out right here that actually goes down to the ignition module right here as well too. So we checked that out. We did a compression test on here, and whenever I was pulling the engine over, it felt like it had virtually no compression whatsoever for that. So we did a compression test. Compression was only like about a 1 pound on it for the actual compression test. It was barely registering on the actual compression gauge. And so we proceeded to take the valve cover off over here, check that out, and we found out the problem on here for that. The exhaust valve was basically sticking. We did a leak down test. I got my Briggs & Stratton tool right here for reference point. I'll show you what it looks like here. This is a genuine Briggs & Stratton leak down test tool. You got your gauge on here for that, so I'll show you what it looks like right here. There's your gauge. And you have your spark plug adapter tool here as well too. Just screw this in one side, and you hook up your air hose like I got right here. And you set the gauge to, you want to set it all the way over to the green side right here for that. So you get a better shot here with the sunlight out here, a little bit of a glare. There you go. Set it all the way over to green. So you have three indicators. You have green, yellow, and you have red. If the engine is in green, your engine should be okay. If it's in yellow, your engine's starting to fail. If it's in red, your engine's basically dead. So that's your 3 indicators right there for that. Typically, when it goes into the red zone on a overhead valve engine, typically one of the valves might be sticking, and that might be a possible concern right there for that. So we checked it out over here, and it basically went right into the red, and the exhaust valve over here was sticking on this engine here specifically for that. We managed to pop it back out on here. However, whenever we was actually pushing on here, it was basically going in there about a 1/16 of an inch and sticking right there for that. So I just want to show you what it looks like here when it's sticking on a Honda overhead valve, or I should say overhead cam more precisely. Sorry about that. This is the overhead cam style engine right here as well too. So we'll show you what the engine is right here specifically. This is their easy start auto choke one right here, GCV 160. And this is the overhead cam design, not the overhead valve, call more proven design of the overhead valve one. The problem with the overhead cam is if you have a problem like this on here, you gotta take the whole, you gotta take the engine off the machine. You gotta separate the case. You gotta pull the cylinder, or I should say, pull the piston and rings out of the cylinder barrel down inside here to even get to the valves right here for that, because the valves are not in a traditional cylinder head on here for that. The cylinder head is integral to the actual cylinder block on here for that, so it's part of the same, you know, your sump and your whole, your crankcase right down there as well too. So it's not, we don't call, you can't pull the valve out straight through the top on here and take your cylinder head off and do that the normal way with a typical Briggs & Stratton overhead valve engine. So that's one of the drawbacks to this one specific type of engine. So we'll show you here. Let me get my tool over here real quick, and we can see them demonstrated here right now acting up. I did try to put some aerokroil on the actual shaft down here to try to lube it up and see if I can break it free, because typically if it has this kind of problem with, you have like no compression or extremely low compression out there for that, the valves are like sticking in the valve guides on there for that, and it might be caused by like coking of you know, call the exhaust, you know, carbon buildup, something like that on there, or it could be caused by you know, older gasoline getting varnished up on the valve guide right there, the actual valve stem, I should say more precisely. So let's go ahead and see if I can move it here right now and show you here how it was acting up here specifically for that. Right now it's back to the almost, you know, OEM position right here for that. The other side, let me show you, get a top down picture here. Okay, there we go. Let me get a better shot. That's barely wiggling. That's your intake over here. Here's your exhaust over here. And that's how it should be basically right from the factory right there for that. So we'll go ahead and wiggle it here and push it back. This thing goes going in and out here, so we'll do that right now. We'll see if we can get it to stick. Go ahead and do that right now. Okay. Now it's sticking open. You got this big gap here. See this big gap? You got a huge gap right there. That's telling me right there the actual valve stem itself for the actual valve is binding up inside of the actual cylinder, you know, the cylinder block right here for that. The only way to solve that problem is to try to disassemble the engine right there for that. And unfortunately, the older gentleman is not going to want to, or he's not going to be willing to, you know, spend the money to have that kind of a repair done. The only other option you have right there is to try to, you know, spray some aerokroil down onto the actual valve and see if that helps, and just like leave it sit overnight for maybe 24 hours, and try to spray some, like I said before, spray some aerokroil down on the actual valve itself, and see if the aerokroil might you know, work some magic and see if it'll loosen up the valve right there for it. Then the next thing I could probably suggest is to maybe get some you know, call BG44K, get a spray pump bottle, and see if you can spray some into the intake over here, and see if it might be able to you know, clean up the intake and exhaust valve on there for that. But that's really not probably gonna, you know, work too good out there, but it's always a chance. And the last thing you might want to do is, if it does work, you can probably put some like synthetic oil in there. I would recommend putting Mobil 1, you know, full synthetic extended performance out there for that, because it has more, you know, called more detergent in there, so it'll helpfully, you know, get some varnish off the valves, you know, the valve stem and stuff like that, so it might not, you know, be so sticky in the, you know, while you're running, and you shut it off, you start back up, it doesn't want to start up because of low compression right there for that. We had this problem about 2 other times. Let me see here. Happened about 4 years ago. We had a lady up the road from us here. She had a machine she bought brand new. Then about a year later, she put some old gas or bad gas or something in it, and she used it for about 6 months. And what happened was the intake valve, rather than the exhaust valve over here, was sticking because it had varnish on there. And we did the aerokroil, the cheap and dirty fix, spread down the shaft down here, and it seemed to work. We also changed the oil out about 2 times in the machine, put good old Mobil 1 full synthetic extended performance in there, and the machine ran like a top. We gave it back to her. She didn't have a single problem after that. She never called us back, so that was a successful fix. But this one right here, we already sprayed some aerokroil on here today and let it sit for about 2 to 4 hours already. Right now it's still not responding, you know, as it should, because anytime I manually, you know, push down on the actual valve top right here. It's just you know, sticking right there for that. But you can pop it back to the original position right here. I can demonstrate that right now. So right now you can see the big gap. Let me see, you can get a better top angle here for you. Got a big gap. There one, got a perfect gap. You see that? Okay, we'll try to push it back here. We'll try to pop it back on here and see if we can get it pop it back. It doesn't want. Let me see here. Nope. No, it doesn't want to pop back. Doesn't want to pop back this time. It's still not popping back. Even if you try to manipulate this thing back and forth manually when the engine's cold as it is right now, you might be able to loosen it up. You might not be able to. But this is really a crap way of doing it out there for that. But it is what it is. It's not working correctly out there for that. It's still sticking in there. And we already let it sit for about 2 to 4 hours already, with the aerokroil going down inside the actual shaft on the exhaust valve right there for you. It's still not working correctly, so we're probably gonna have to call up the customer and tell them tomorrow morning that we got some bad news for them, because the old guy's not gonna want to spend the money. You gotta take the engine off the machine. You gotta take the engine apart. You gotta split the case. You get the case on these machines right here. You just split them on the side right here. You get a big casing seal right on the inside right here. You gotta split the whole case off the machine right here. You gotta take all the bolts off. They have sealants on this thing right here in order to seal it up correctly. They don't use a gasket or nothing like that. So you just use RTV black sealant to seal the whole casing back up when you're done doing any kind of internal repairs on the actual internal of the engine. You gotta take the crank out. You gotta take the piston and the rings in as well too, in order to get to the actual valves. That's really a crap design myself, or personally, I really don't like it. But it's Honda's design, and 9 times out of 10, it works perfectly fine. But in this case right here, unfortunately, it's not working because of one problem where the exhaust valve is sticking and does not want to return back to its default position, and it's causing the low compression or next to no compression. It's basically 1 psi when I crank the thing over super fast out there for that. So it was going up and down, but now it's not working correctly. So that's what we find, guys. So if anybody has any comments, questions, whatnot about this problem, feel free to drop me a message here, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I'll see you guys. Have a nice day.